everyone. Welcome to the full board agenda of the Single Family Design Board for June 1st. We will start the afternoon off with roll call.
Okay, here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi.
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti.
Yes.
And Board Member Rolfe.
Yes.
Yes, and Board Member Richards is absent today. Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. Public comment. This is a chance for any member of the public to address the board for up to 2 minutes on a subject within its jurisdiction that is not scheduled on today's agenda for a public discussion. Do we have anybody?
Okay, I'll start with in-person public comment. I have not received any general public comment slips, speaker slips. Just as a reminder, if anyone wishes to speak for today's items on the agenda, please fill out a speaker slip. It's at the shelf next to the door entry. On virtual public comments, I do not see any attendees or raised hands. And with that, I have not received any public correspondence, and with that, I'll turn that over to you, Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a question for me?
I was wondering if the person filling out a speaker slip was making general comment or
No, he's not.
for an item. Okay.
He's not. But thank you.
Okay.
And we'll move on to approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting of May 18th.
I haven't got this filled out yet. This is the, so I'm here for a particular project.
Okay. I'll make a motion for approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting of May 18th.
I'll second that.
Okay, here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
and Board Member Rolfe.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board consent meeting of May 18th.
Keep this copy.
Okay. Who saw this? Who was the one? Was it me?
I don't think it was me. It was Board Member Sherry.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was fine with it. So I will make a motion for approval of the minutes of the consent meeting of Single Family Design Board for May 18th.
I'll second that.
Okay, here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
and Board Member Rolfe.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, ratification of action taken on the consent calendar of June 1st.
Yes, thank you, Chair Sherry. Staff will go ahead and announce the actions taken at the June 1st consent hearing. So we had 617 Ferrara Way, which received final approval with a condition. 216 La Vista Grande, which received project design approval and was continued indefinitely for final approval. 835 Woodland Drive, which was continued indefinitely with comments. And 1407 Cliff Drive, which received final approval as submitted.
Okay, I'll make a motion for ratification of the consent calendar of June 1st.
I'll second.
Okay, here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslecki,
Yes.
Board Member Gafidi,
Yes.
and Board Member Rolfe.
Yes.
Yeah, the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any announcements?
Thank you. Staff has no announcements at this time.
All right, well, since we are 4 minutes ahead, I think we can move on to item 1, if we have an applicant here for 224 Loyola. This is 224 Loyola Drive. This is a proposal. Huh?
I'm just, it's bizarre, it doesn't say continue.
Hi.
That's all, but it doesn't.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry?
I was objecting to the gender makeup of this entire thing.
Oh, you are? Okay. Sorry.
Do you want to reschedule?
Objection denied.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is a proposal to construct a 751 square foot second story addition to an existing 1,575 square foot single story, single unit residence located in the coastal zone non-appealable jurisdiction. The existing 423 square foot attached garage and detached shed will remain. The project includes a 590 square foot patio, a 52 square foot balcony, 211 square foot balcony, driveway replacement material, new 42-inch driveway gate and fence, landscape, and hardscape. The proposed total of 2,749 square feet of development on an 8,527 square foot lot is 83% of the required maximum floor to lot area ratio. The project qualifies for an exemption under further environmental review under section 15301, existing facilities of the Environmental Quality Act. Final approval is requested. The project requires substantial conformance to plans that received project design approval on March 23rd when the project was last heard. Your name for the record.
Shava Riley.
And John Tyne, attorney for the applicant.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, perfect. So thank you so much for having us back. And I just basically want to address,
Hold on just 1 second.
oh,
We need
oh.
a visual.
It looks
Visual
like
aid.
the laptop's not displaying on the TV screen,
Oh,
so we're gonna check.
Okay, sorry. That was. No, I feel bad. I don't- It's not bad.
And
Oh, was that bar off? I don't see the light yet, maybe I don't. Is it, do you see the light, Joe? Let me see. It was on earlier, so. How about this one?
we had it a minute ago.
Coming back. What was it?
You got it?
Well,
Oh, it was.
It was up there for a second. Let's see. Looks like it's connected.
It's back. If you can, I guess. Oh, yours.
Yeah.
That was off from the start, so we can like use the same.
Okay, well, I'll just
Yeah.
borrow yours. Sounds good.
That was off on the start.
It's just, yeah, we'll fix it. Okay. Thank you. No? Hello. Okay, wonderful. Here we go. Take two. Okay,
You might want to start, well, at some point in the beginning of your presentation, you might want to start with review of the minutes from the last meeting,
oh, okay, I don't.
whenever you want to incorporate those.
Well, I was going to kind of just go over
Go
what
ahead.
you guys wanted us to do and how we rectified it.
We're gonna ask to see the minutes too, but you can do your whole presentation and we can ask that as a question if we want to see it on the screen.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. We do have the minutes, actually.
It's on the upper bar.
Yes, I did not see that.
Choice.
It was the other one, yes.
This one? Okay. So provide a color palette and material board. The exterior elevations show consistency with the as-built conditions, updated. Detailing for the balcony railing. Other architectural details required for final approval. Restudy the south elevation balcony. Design and revise the elevations to show the as-built condition of the west elevation balcony. Provide details showing exterior lights is night sky compliant. Align window head heights. The Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance criteria have been met as stated in subsection 2,
You
et
don't have to
cetera, et
read that.
cetera. The proposed development is.
You don't have to read
Okay.
that either.
Okay, perfect. All right, now let's go back. So we'll start with the exterior elevations and then go to the color palette, just so we can go with that. So we updated consistency for the balconies. So we went, we had a half glass, half stucco, and so we just went with the all glass railings for the front balcony, as well as the little back Juliet balcony. And right there, you can see, and as well as right there. So it's all consistent now. And then I'll show a picture of so this would be the glass guardrails with white metal. Right here is the picture. So there's no stucco, small profile. And then for the lighting, the owner has opted for strictly eave exterior downlighting. So that's what she's requested. She's very light sensitive, so she wants not a lot of light radiating. So it's all downlit, and I'll go to the lighting plan. So right here on the balconies, and then under the eaves here as well. All downlit, no sconces, no other exterior lights. As far as consistency, we had the structural engineer the Juliet balcony that was in question off the rear. And so this is what he came up for, how much mass we'd need for the structure to cantilever this part of the balcony out. It's a 2-foot cantilever out, very minimal. And the head height, the head consistency for the was this right here. This is a stairwell, so we did have a higher plate height wasn't congruent with the others because of the stairwell, but we've cut it down just to make that consistent with everything. So this is the stairway to the upper story. And then these are our color palettes that we went with. So warm stone to match the driveway. The windows are classic black. Copper eaves. The fascia, eaves, and stucco all to match. The Dunn white, the Dunn Edwards white. Let's see. The entry door wood, and then the cedar, the sunrise cedar for the roof, composition roofing. And as I said, these will be white. The manufacturer did not have a picture with the white posts for the guardrails. And then the garage door would be painted this softer color. The Benjamin Moore White Oaks paint. And I believe that was all of the, let's go to the minutes. Yeah, let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay, yep. As-built west elevation. This one? And we are not changing, these windows were, this lower floor, the only thing we did is not changing. It was approved, this is a convoluted case, but the permit was issued for this bottom floor to be as is, so it is built as is per the prior issued permit, which is on, I can bring us to that. These were the approved plans, so we didn't change the windows here, we just took the fireplace away. That was one in the conceptual design review. The fireplace was an issue, and so we just decided to take it out. It kind of just hung out in the front and was too massive in size. So these windows are all staying the same. Because I think that was one of the questions about the spacing on the windows. And that's, I think, it.
Did you want to just, do you want to
Say
say anything,
anything,
John?
John? Yeah.
Not unless you have questions. If you have some questions, I'll address them.
He's here for the owner. She couldn't make it. So.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
Okay. For this particular item, hold on one second. Go. Okay, I do not have any speaker slips for this particular item, and I have not received any public correspondence for this item, so I'm checking Zoom. I do not see any raised hands for this item either. So I'll turn that over back to you, Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Questions from the board? Let's see, go ahead.
Do you have a landscape plan?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. And is there any lighting for pathways or anything proposed in the landscape?
Not at this juncture.
Okay. Let's see. In the area where you're taking away the fireplace, what's the landscaping going on?
It's
under
now
that?
the landing
Oh, okay, great.
with the little.
Nice. Okay. And then any trees proposed or affected in the project?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so just shrubs and ground covers?
Yep,
and-
yep. We
okay.
work with Sebastian, our planner, with that.
Okay, and then can you go back to the materials board?
Yes. Is there a faster way to zoom through these? Or,
If you type in.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Type
there
in
we
the
go.
Page number that you want,
Okay,
if
thank
you know
you.
what page number.
And then it looks like for the color, it looks like the color is just the same color as what the background is, but I'm assuming it's something else.
For the stucco?
The stucco, yeah.
That is the way that the color came out when I
Oh,
got the
okay.
sample off of the Donna Edwards.
Okay. And then the trim color is the color, what's the trim color? Or is it just the windows? There's no trim? Okay,
Yeah, just
great.
yep, exactly.
Okay. I think that's it for my questions.
Questions?
Okay, yes, sure. Now that we're on the material palette board, what's that wood material that you're showing at the garage door, and you said it's a painted,
Yeah, they want to have it wood, but then be painted. They want to
okay.
paint the wood. Yeah,
Okay,
so
the
that's the
finish
wood
would be-
material. Yeah, exactly.
okay, and then about, you mentioned railing. It's with white metal.
Yes.
Anywhere else you have white metal, and why was the intention to do white metal? Because like the windows and doors are black. What was the intention?
You know what? Unfortunately, the owner just wanted white metal, and her father's passing away, and she's in a hospital, and so it's just been very difficult to get even just this stuff
And-
from her. So I'm sorry, but that's what she wants.
Okay, and the
That's it.
white, by referring to white, is it gonna match the white of
Yes.
the stucco or any other white?
White of the stucco,
Okay.
and I can add that.
And the other question is
I
about.
think she just wanted it to disappear.
Okay.
Is basically.
The other question I have is about this recessed exterior lightings. What's the material of the soffit from, like exterior soffit? What we see and what are these recessed into?
So the eaves would look just like this here, and then the wood, this is, here we go.
Is it a
Yeah.
TNG?
No,
or-
it's actually stucco, sorry. The picture's TNG, but it would just be stucco as
Stucco.
well, and they would be recessed, and this is the exact.
Can you confirm that these lights are dark sky compliant? I understand that they're down lighting, but are they dark sky compliant?
Just the nature of a downlight is dark
Is it?
sky compliant.
Okay, so we're sure about that.
And this was the spec that they sent me.
Okay.
So I'm using
So-
exactly what she gave, and she has a designer she's working with, and so they're kind of both telling me, so we're doing the best, yeah.
Okay, so you're showing the gutters at copper. How about downspouts? And do we see
Yes, the
those?
downspouts and the gutters would all be this
Okay.
penny aluminum copper that they wanted.
Okay, and my last question. I think on our minutes from previous time, we talked about having the architectural details. Can you show us where they are? I cannot see it on the set that was
Details for what exactly?
architectural details like door and windows, roof, eave.
You know what, I don't have.
Roofs? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have those details.
Can you go back to the minutes? I think like there was an item that we mentioned. I want to make sure that what we mentioned.
Yeah.
was- Okay. Railing and all other, okay, number 3. Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Board Member Rolfe,
Oh, yeah.
questions?
Hi, so I was wondering if I forget which elevation it is, but I wanted to look at the elevation with the Juliet balcony and the roof. I was just wondering if the roof is gonna be higher than the guardrails at any point?
This is, it
Okay,
would be
yeah.
right here.
Okay, I think I was looking at the roof plan and I saw that the roof goes past the guardrail, it goes past the little Juliet patio area. So I think, or do you mind showing me the roof plan?
No.
Yeah,
not at all.
thank you. Okay.
So this is the roof above,
Okay.
and then this is the roof below.
Okay, and then is the Juliet balcony, can you point where the dash
It's
lines
right
were?
here.
It's right there, okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
just, it's hidden.
Okay, okay.
And then this would be the building under, the interior habitable space underneath. It's
Right,
a little
right.
confusing.
Okay.
It's only a 2-foot protection
Okay,
for the Julia balcony, and our roofs are 2.6, the
okay,
eaves.
okay. Yeah, I don't have any more questions, thank you.
Okay, I had one question also about the Juliet balcony. If you go to the south elevation and the west elevation, go to the south one first, maybe. I just want to make sure I understand that on the upper level balconies, the way they're working into the lower level roofs is there's going to be a kind of a trapezoidal. These are meant to be, I mean, your detail shows a frameless railing, but that's meant to be supported down below. And the support for those railings is at the base. So how do you plan on handling the interception at the angled roof for that particular balcony railing? Unless I'm not reading that correctly, but, so see the south elevation there, and see the middle section of glass?
Yes, I see that.
And so now, if you go to the, let's see, it would show up on the east elevation? It should show up,
East.
that same balcony should show up on the east elevation. See, there's that same, like, how do you plan on, you don't have any details, so how do you plan on dealing with that detail?
I understand what you're saying. Yes. And my thought would we would have the stucco and the interior, and then just to the point where we could actually then put the posts in again and then have the glass above.
So going back to the south elevation, what you would see is the proposed south elevation is, or as-built, I guess. Oh, it's as-built, so it's already built.
It's not complete. I mean, this is pretty much built.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I
the
can.
balcony's not in.
The balcony is not installed, however, yes, it's just open landing right now.
So what you're saying is that you would build up a curb?
The landing's there. Yes, exactly.
Okay, those are my only questions. Okay, comments. Go ahead, Board Member Gerfeidi.
Okay, so I think in general, project is in a good place. It would be nice to have the details for some of those unresolved items. For me, outside of some of the architectural or some of the railings and those types of details, I would just, because you're not doing sconces or any sort of taller planting to soften the exterior, my only concern was about the color, and I couldn't find a Dunn Edwards color in that color code, but I looked up Benjamin Moore, and there's a Dune White 968 for Benjamin Moore, so I don't know if that was the intention. It does look like a much warmer white than the white on the page. I think if it's similar to the white on the page, that's typically like a bright, stark white like that is something our board usually tries to steer away from. And again, if you're not doing, sconces or planting to soften it, that would be my probably biggest point, aside from how comfortable we feel providing final without some of those details. Other than that, happy to move the project along.
Thank you, Board Member.
Yeah, I think like project is moving forward in a right direction. It's like a lot of like the questions that we had from previous time are answered. But yeah, I don't know how we're gonna address to getting a final without the architectural details, because we're not gonna see the project without that. That's my only comment of, I don't know, like I want to hear from other board members to see how we're gonna handle that.
Board Member Roth.
Okay, so sorry, I'll just start off saying that I appreciate you addressing your comments, and I like how you made, the window, the header heights consistent, and, made the guardrail material consistent, so thank you. Regarding some comments, I personally feel like it'd be nice to see a consistency in the color choice for like the gutters and the guardrails and the window frames, because I think there's copper, black, and white, so I think just choosing one for consistency would be great. And then and also in terms of material consistency, it would be nice to see, for me personally, the garage door and the entry door, they're like two different types or shades of wood. I don't know how the other board
The
members
garage
feel.
door, it's deceiving. The garage door's not wood.
Oh,
The garage
okay.
door's painted wood.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. So anyways, regarding the architectural details, it'd be interesting. Anyways, it would be nice to see. I don't know if it's that important for me to see, because I could kind of picture what you would probably do. So anyways, those are my comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have the same dilemma, but I want to move this project forward,
Yeah.
but we have a new ordinance that's coming into play, or it maybe has been adopted, that gives the staff the authority to review the architectural details on final. And even though this project was already agendized for final approval, our new ordinance will not require projects to be heard by the full board for final approval. So is this an appropriate time to start implementing that review of the final architectural details? I don't know how this got agendized without details.
Yeah, so my understanding is that all these projects are still operating under the old code and the old standards, so it would still require a final approval hearing. So if you feel there's too much missing information, you have two options. You can either continue the project if you want to see those details to grant final approval, or you can condition that details be provided at building permit submittal, but those conditions would need to be very specific so that staff can verify that the correct information has been provided.
So, like I said before, isn't there a checklist for final approval for an applicant to go through before they
Yes.
submit? I mean, I think it's unfortunate for you guys that we don't have the details. So I would like to suggest that we send this on to consent, and so that you don't have to come back to us. And then it's being reviewed, the final details would be reviewed on the consent level. And I think that's the only thing we can do, because there aren't any architectural details. Door and windows, railing, especially I'm not seeing how that particular railing detail is going to work for that roof at all. And I don't think a curb is going to look good on that roof. So you might want to consider a different interface, but that's something that I think is important enough to be reviewed by the consent agenda. So I would make a motion for an indefinite continuance to the consent board for final approval, with the applicant to return with architectural details, especially including the detail of the glass Juliet balcony to the lower level roof. And also an updated color and finish board that has the exact off-white specification for the exterior plaster. And I'm sure you're going to need building sections for the building department anyway, so I'm going to say building sections through the proposed balconies. Now it's going to help the board understand how that detail is being worked out. So that's my motion.
Hey, Dawn and rest of the board,
Yeah.
how do you?
We need a seconder, and then we can discuss it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I second that.
Okay.
Okay.
And then now what?
Okay. How do you all feel about the different color choices for the window trims and the gutter and the guardrails? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I would prefer, if you want my opinion, I would prefer that the railing be dark to match the window. I don't think it's not going to disappear. I think it would also disappear. So it would be our suggestion to match the railing hardware with the window hardware. We can add that. We can just make a suggestion. The board suggests that the railing hardware match the window color. Because I agree, and I heard, I saw you nod.
I agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
And what about
The gutters as well?
Gutters and.
I'm okay with copper gutters
Okay.
myself.
Yeah, I think like it's,
Because I think it would look I think it would
Like
look nice.
yeah, I think it's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, with the addition of that motion, and that was actually suggested by the seconder, we're finished with our motion.
Friendly amendment.
Okay, here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslahi,
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
and Board Member Rowe.
Yes.
And the motion,
And when is the next consent agenda?
I'll be in touch with you. I actually handle the consent calendar, so we can discuss via email.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Moving on to item number 2, 16 Alameda Padre Serra. Do we have an applicant for that? I see Ernesto approaching the desk. This is a proposal to convert an existing garage to habitable space and a new detached single-story, 3-car, 599 square foot garage with 180 square foot storage area. The new 314 square foot deck is proposed with staircase on top of the new garage. A new pool with spa is proposed in the backyard along with landscaping. New driveway paving is proposed. A minor zoning exception is required for a new opening in the western interior setback. The proposed total 4,187 square feet on an 18,492 square foot lot is 95% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. The project qualifies for an exemption from further environmental review under Section 15301 of the California Environmental Quality Act. This project is here today for project design approval and final approval. Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance, hillside design district, and slope lot findings need to be made, along with grading findings and minor zoning exception findings required. The project was last heard on March 23rd, 2026. Your name for the record.
Ernesto Botello, project designer. Good afternoon.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Do you mind if I just ask staff a quick question? Not related. Okay. So one thing that would be helpful, given that our findings have changed, depending on when the project was submitted, does that apply? And I'm just talking about the public or the neighborhood preservation findings.
The conditions.
Yeah,
conditions.
that's correct. If, so applicants have the option to choose which standards they're operating under, if it's more beneficial to operate under the old standards or new standards. So the findings that apply to the project will depend on whether they're operating under the old or new standards.
How do we know that?
So staff, I think, will let you know, when they introduce the project. And we also have slides with both the old and new findings. So we can let the board know that, this project requires the new neighborhood preservation and hillside findings.
So that's what she's asking. Are
So
you going to
does-
tell us now?
So all of these projects are operating under the old standards.
Okay, so old
So they don't have a
findings.
choice.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, that answers
These
your question.
projects were submitted, a while ago.
There's just different findings. Our findings have simplified, and there's some that have been removed entirely, so.
Yeah. So there's no choice on this one.
Yeah, the transition just occurred, so all this agenda is still all under the old standards and
All right.
findings.
So let's go over the motion and the minutes from last time. Reduce the massing between the garage door header and eave. The board was open to a partial railing above the roof as a solution. The board is looking for more details regarding the stairs and other architectural components on the property, including doors, windows, and railings. Overall concept is appropriate to the site due to its placement and setback from the street. Returned with a graphic representation of the site plan showing the neighboring properties. And the board was supportive of the minor zoning exception for the encroachment of the as-built door into the interior as is not visible from any public view.
Okay.
So let me start by showing you the changes that we made. Okay, so we opted to stay with the gable end roof and not show a railing. It's a cleaner look. And so what I did was I lowered the plate height to 8 feet high. And then I increased the height of the garage door to 8 feet. And so that gave me the reduction in the gap of showing the stucco. between the top of the garage door and the eave. And I can show you what it looked like before. So we have 2.5 feet, or sorry, a foot and 2 inches. And then you can see the difference. So that was previous, and this is proposed. And I can show you a perspective from the front. So it lines up a little bit nicer with the existing residents. All right. Okay. And also, you guys wanted to see some details on the staircase. So it's going to be a floating staircase, and we're going to obviously do a metal framing. And so these are some of the details regarding the framing. So it's going to be a 5 by metal post with just metal framing, and 2-inch metal post with stainless steel cables. And we're going to go with just a custom manufacturing, or a V-rail system can also be implemented. These are some of those details for that, so, some examples. And doors and windows, we're going to match the front residence, and it's Anderson doors and windows. It's a metal wood-clad door, and the color is stormy blue. And so these bifolds are located at the rear and side of the structure. So they're going to be 7 feet tall now to reduce that massing as well from the top of the header to the eave. So these are 7 feet, and so is this access door. Go back to the details. Just single pane, keep it simple, match the front house. It's going to be the garage door. It's going to be painted blue to match, stormy blue to match the rest of the windows and doors. And then your third comment was you wanted to see a representation of the neighboring properties and an outline of the structures. And this is what you're looking at now. Okay. And that's all my the comments that we're addressing today. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Public comment.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment. This time, I do have one request to speak, and that is Mr. Leon Smith, if you would like to make your way to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Leon Smith. I live at 1812 Overlook Lane with my wife, and we are adjacent to Ernesto's project, it's looking good so far. I attended the March 23rd review, and at that time, I forgot to mention that we had some possible privacy issues with the deck that's on top of the garage. So the next day, well, actually on the 26th, I hand-carried a letter to Sebastian. I brought it into the office here, raising our concern that possible, we'd like to see some story poles that would see the elevation of the deck in the garage. In my, I've done a lot of owner builder stuff, and new structures, we usually are required to put up story poles. So I'm just wondering what the comment is from the board.
We can't answer that question. Not right now, but during comments, then we can answer it. Right now, it's just all about you and your presentation.
Okay.
So if you're done, we'll.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next we move on to virtual public comment. And at this time, I do not see any raised hands or attendees on Zoom. We did not receive any public correspondence for this particular item. And with that, I'll turn it over back to you, Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Board Member Rolfe?
Oh, so just two questions. You mentioned that the doors, I think was it the storage next to the garage, they're 7 feet, and then I think the doors for the garage doors are 8 feet. I was wondering why there's a difference.
So the garage door itself is 8 feet. The rest of the doors and windows, it's 7 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you have a pool gate on your site plan?
I don't know. No,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, my only question is about if you go to your garage sheet that you have, that the roof deck, it's an elevation. Which sheet is that? My question is, what we're seeing on the rear elevation, south elevation.
You want all the elevations? Or?
No.
We're
the
looking for
garage
the
one.
Railing that goes to the garage deck, that sheet.
A8 sheet? That you go to the roof deck of the garage, yeah. So is this facing the neighbor that was just making public comment?
No,
Which side is facing?
this is his view.
Okay.
And do you want me to show you on the site plan, his
Yes,
property?
please.
Okay. So the gentleman, Leon, this is his property. He is at 1812 Overlook, and his structure is a 2-story structure. So his view is down into 16 APS.
I see.
Get a little bit.
Do you know approximately how far is the corner of the garage to their structure?
200 feet plus.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That was my question.
While we're on this same topic, I'm going to just tag on to that question with, can you go back to the elevation of the stairs behind the garage? Can you zoom in on that elevation, or on the left? Yeah, so that elevation is 13.1.5 to the plate height of the garage is what? What's the plate height of the garage?
8 feet. Do you want me to show you a section?
Feet, yes, please. I think I remember there being something interesting about this section. Because you were dropping,
Let me show you the front first. Actually, yes, let's look at this here. side. Let me show you a side shot of that.
Okay.
So from grade, from slab.
And then that's the section through the skylight in the garage, or is there a skylight in the garage? That
No.
vaulted area?
No, that's the framing for the deck above. So number 24 is the framing.
Why are you heading it out at the number 8? What does number 8 say?
Those are 4x12s to support the deck.
I understand. Do you have a photograph in the backyard looking up at the neighboring parcel on Overlook?
Let me see pictures.
Because wasn't, and this is kind of a combined question about the same topic, is what was the exact motion about the neighbors?
I don't have any pictures of.
So you don't have any neighbors
showing
looking
his.
back? Okay.
No.
But can you go back to the minutes really quickly and read the one about the neighbor? Said, return with a graphic representation of the site plan showing the neighboring properties, which is what you did, okay. Do you have?
Look at here, it's just, it doesn't have a photograph.
Yeah, I
It's
see.
here, so that's the neighbor.
Yeah.
If anything, they're looking down on the property at 16 APS.
Yeah, I can see that they're higher.
And there are 2 stories.
Okay, I'll go ahead and then I'm going to ask a couple more questions.
Okay.
I wanted to tag onto that one.
Is there any landscaping proposed, like what's the landscaping proposed in behind that? And I'm more actually thinking directly behind
Let's go to this. Okay.
Garage.
Let me go to the
landscape plan. Because there's not a lot of vegetation there right now. Can you zoom in?
Sure.
Looking in that back corner.
And just for reference, so on my latest storm waste management, there's more planting back here. So
Okay.
all this is going to be there's more plants back here. Yeah.
It's hard to see with the codes what
You want me to zoom in?
possibly, and then maybe scroll to the right so I can see what the codes represent. I don't know if it's shorter, maybe agaves or something. Yeah, okay, so not super tall. Okay. In terms of height, so the height to the top of the garage is like 13 feet something?
Yeah.
To the top of the ridgeline? Okay, great. Can staff just provide a formal explanation on why story poles aren't required?
So I don't see anything in my notes on why story poles would be required for this project. So yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think it is written anywhere in the ordinance that when you build an addition to a house, you have to do story poles. I don't know of anywhere in the ordinance that it's written.
No,
It's
story
at the discretion
poles
of the board. I
would
think.
only be required if required FAR is over 85%, and that's at the discretion of the board, as you mentioned, so it could be waived or required by the board.
Okay, but it wasn't required because of the FAR. I just want to make sure for the public commenter, who I don't know if still, oh, there we are, behind in the audience. I just want to make sure there's clarity there on why they weren't required. And I think that's it for my questions.
So where's that landscape plan with showing the other landscape? What did you say about
It's,
the,
let's just stick with this. This is the latest one that we have now.
okay, so
yeah.
what are you doing in the area that's blank? What is the proposed landscaping in that area?
Right now, it's just open area, like lawn, right?
It is?
Yeah,
Right now,
it's open,
It's
yeah.
lawn?
Nothing.
There's
It
nothing.
seems like Google
It's-
Earth, it's just nothing.
It's
here.
dirt
Yeah.
right now.
But your intention is to propose something else?
But for this project, we're sticking with the planters you're seeing now.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you're seeing on the screen is what is proposed now.
Okay. Finish schedule. Can you show us the finish schedule again? Oh, material board, okay. It's really, really small. Can you
Sure,
zoom
let
in?
me know what you want to
The material board, the whole
Okay,
thing.
got it.
Yeah. Okay. And crystal white is
That's
it
the s-
white?
No, it's like an off-white. La Habra's, that's the number that, or the code that I'm getting from La Habra
Okay.
for that, they're off-white.
And isn't that supposed to match existing?
We're gonna match the front, yeah.
Is that light fixture dark sky compliant? I don't,
I don't think it is, but we're matching the front, so unless you want, I could switch it out. I think I have a couple options down here.
well, I'll bring that up in comments. And can you go to your detail sheet? Because you're asking for final, right?
Sure, yes. Sorry, Don, what sheet do you want
Detail sheet,
for?
the detail sheet for your project. With all your details, roofing, windows. I see a little tiny sketch of a window. Gutters.
Yeah, you're looking up here.
How the railing detail.
Got it, okay. So for the railing, let me zoom in on here. So it's a 2-by-post with the 1-by-2 mail.
No, I can see
okay.
I know what your intent is. I was just looking for a detail sheet. So you don't have a
I don't
detail
have a
sheet?
detail
Okay,
sheet,
got
no.
it. That's okay. Okay, that's all the questions. So comments, Board Member Roth, comments.
Oh, I'm happy where the project is. I think you implemented our suggestions well. And just to get, we'd like to see those details. So thank you.
Yeah, I think thank you for providing all our comments at this time. And yeah, I would like to see the architectural details for final. And I think for our good neighbor guidelines, it would be great if you can talk with the neighbor after the meeting to explain like how far is the proposed project is to their property and how you're citing that in just like do the good neighbor guidelines as a recommendation. And rather than that, I think it's ready for PDA. I don't know about the final without the architectural details.
Board Member Confidi, comments.
Okay, I think that I would be comfortable signing off today with PDA, and I don't know if we want to add comments for final. We could approve with conditions. I'm flexible on that. I think it is helpful to have the details, and maybe our board should have a better understanding of like what the actual requirements are for final. But generally, I think I find it to be a nice project. I would recommend maybe some taller plantings or hedging along the back fence line. I don't know if there was a reason why. I know that it's marked that there's a 10-foot, not easement, but 10-foot setback, and then no plantings are in that setback. So I don't know if there's a reason why, but I would recommend, seeing if there's anything else you can add there. And yeah, in general, someone could theoretically build up to 30 feet tall. 25 is usually our max recommendation. So I think this is extremely modest height-wise at 13 feet to the top of the garage. And yeah, looks good.
Okay. Yeah, I would suggest talking to the neighbor that's concerned about the privacy issue, because your proposed deck is not only very far away from his property, but it's below his property, it appears, and it's not even a two-story deck. It's a deck over a one-story. So I would highly suggest reaching out to him and talking him through that. Unfortunately, it's not that we would like to see architectural details. They're required on the final checklist. So I'm not sure how these projects are getting agendized for final when they don't have the detail sheets. But I think everybody feels that we can give you a PDA, project design approval, today. And then I think it can come back, in my opinion, it can come back on consent. And so the motion would be for an indefinite continuance to the consent calendar for final approval, but for project design approval today. So let me rephrase that. Motion for project design approval with the applicant to return to the consent agenda hearing for final approval with the following comments. To return with a detailed sheet of all the proposed architectural details, and to confirm that the proposed exterior stucco is an off-white. It's difficult to tell from the graphic on the material board. Return with only a dark sky compliant solution to the exterior lighting, and eliminate any reference to non-dark sky compliant lighting. Return with a landscape plan that addresses the entire rear yard, even if it's just lawn. I'm just leaving that part off, just that addresses the entire backyard, and the board encourages the applicant to consider screening from the neighboring parcels in the backyard, proposed landscaping. That's my motion. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Chair Sherry. If I may, we do need to make the findings for project design approval.
Yeah.
So we have neighborhood preservation, hillside grading, and minor zoning exception.
The proposed development is consistent with the scenic character of the city and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood, is compatible with the neighborhood, and its size, bulk, and scale is appropriate to the site and neighborhood. The proposed buildings and structures are designed with quality architectural details. The proposed materials maintain the natural appearance of the hillside or ridgeline. No trees are proposed to be removed as part of this proposal, and the public health, safety, and welfare appear to be protected and preserved. The project generally complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting, and the development preserves significant public scenic views of and from the hillside. The development, including the proposed structures and grading, is appropriate to the site, designed to avoid visible scarring, and does not significantly modify the natural topography of the site or the natural appearance of any ridgeline or hillside, and maintains a scale and form that blends with the hillside by minimizing the visual appearance of structures and the overall height of structures.
Thank you. And then we also have the grading findings.
The proposed grading will not significantly increase siltation in or decrease the water quality of streams, drainages, or water storage facilities to which the property drains, and will not cause a substantial loss of southern oak woodland habitat.
Thank you. And then finally, the minor zoning exception findings.
The granting of the minor zoning exception criteria have been met for the alteration to the portion of the existing residence within the interior setback, and the granting of such exception will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the neighborhood. The improvements are cited such that they minimize impact next to abutting properties, and the project generally complies with applicable privacy, landscape, noise, and lighting standards in the SFDB Good Neighbor Guidelines. And the improvement will be compatible with the existing development and character of the neighborhood.
Thank you. And then I believe none of the additional findings apply for this project, so that concludes the findings for this project.
That's a good thing.
I'll second the motion.
There we go. Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi?
Yes.
And Board Member Rowe?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And there is a 10-day appeal period for this project, which begins today.
It's pretty short. I'll read it. I'll go ahead and read this one. Item number 3, moving on to 3424 Marina Drive. This is a new item, a concept review for a proposal for a new 694 square foot second story to an existing 2,882 square foot single-story home with a 438 square foot two-car garage. New roofing and facade renovation are proposed. The total proposed 3,573 square feet on a 40,854 square foot lot is 73% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. Your name for the record.
Thank you. Hi, Jan Hockhauser of Hockhauser Blatter Architecture and Planning. Hi. So this is, I believe, very straightforward. I'd like to point out to the board that there is no expansion of the existing building footprint. So therefore, there is no landscaping proposed with this application. The second story addition takes place entirely within the first story footprint, and I'll show you how that works. This slide, which is kind of a statistical analysis, shows the added second floor area on the top in the pink here. The existing living room below, the roof continues up to create a 1.5 story space. So when you're in this library, you're overlooking this space below. And this is more statistical analysis of the site plan with setbacks and clearances. So there's no encroachment into any of the setbacks and significant distance to all the peripheral areas. And of course, as required by staff, we have a fairly detailed and comprehensive stormwater analysis for permeable and non-permeable spaces. And here's the official site plan. And I might point out to the board members that this is the added roof form, this L shape above the existing. And this is the existing first floor plan. And you can see the areas of the main entry here. This is kind of an existing front porch area over here. Let me scroll up a little bit. And the front door maintains its existing position. This room exists, but as I stated previously, the roof line's enhanced to capture the addition on the second story. And you can see that here. This is a more detailed evaluation of the second story, which is a master suite, a library space, a nice window setback from the existing roof over the porch. And this is the enhanced living room space below. Stair access is provided here along the side. There's a roof plan. These are the existing elevations. It's very basic and simple. And then here you can see the second story on the east elevation, which is set back from the perimeter. And again on the north side. And this is the existing front door here. This is the library above, set back from the edge of the porch. And this is the new addition of roof over the existing living area. And then finally on the west, you can see the bedroom and balcony addition. This is the existing living room below. And you can see the 3D visualizations here to help see the wedding cake and the terracing of the massing, which I think works quite nicely. Materials, the only change in materials proposed is there's an existing asphalt shingle roof, and we'd like to do that in a standing seam metal. But the wall materials and design elements are maintained throughout. And then here are some sections to show the concept. This is the existing living room below, the added second story here, and another view from south to north. Here's the bedroom addition up above and the living room space there. So that's very basic. I'm happy to answer questions and get into specifics as the board so desires.
All right, thank you. Public comment.
Okay. For this particular item, I do have one speaker slip from a John Ketchian. There we go.
My name is John Kachijan. My wife and I live at 3416 Marina Drive, right next door to this property. We've lived there since 2004. We find the design thoughtful and in compliance and in nature with the rest of the houses in that area. Actually, this house has probably had the least done to it since we've been there. 3 new houses have been built across the street. All of those houses and ours don't face this, and the landscaping around this property is well designed. So I think this addition should be approved as suggested by this gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Checking Zoom, I do not see any raised hands for this particular item. We did receive one public correspondence letter from Martin and Elizabeth Bronze. And with that, I'll turn back over to you, Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start with a couple of questions, actually. Photos,
Yeah,
I don't know anything about what this neighborhood looks like or what the house looks like. What you can see from the street.
We have photos. Okay. So here's a key that helps you understand.
Where are we on Marina Drive? Let's start
Okay,
with
let's
that.
go back to the beginning drawing so I could clue you into location. I'm sorry I didn't do that initially. So as you come on Cliff Drive into Hope Ranch along here, this is the entry point right there.
Can you zoom in on that key plan?
Yeah. Is that close enough, Sherry?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so here, this helps you as you're driving along Cliff Drive here. There's an overlook. This is where a lot of people stop and pull off right below the letter C there in Cliff Drive is kind of a pull-off, and it's often crowded on weekends, and cyclists stop here on the way into Hope Ranch. And then the entry gates to Hope Ranch are right here. So as soon as you enter Hope Ranch, you make a right, and that's Marina Drive. And there's a turn to go up to Campanile Hill right here, the left, and this triangular property is the subject property. And there's quite a hedgerow on the street, so there's not a lot of visibility except where the hedgerow opens to see the front door, and then it ends for the driveway. So if I reference this triangle and bring you to the site plan, there you go. So, as the gentleman suggested, this is profusely landscaped. The hedgerow exists all along Marina Drive here, with a small opening to view the front door. And quite a fruit orchard and a lot of trees here to the west and all along this northerly boundary. The east side here is an existing horse corral. As my client, the owner, was a real fan of maintaining horses. They've since passed. And the entry drive and little motor courts here on the south. So then getting into the photos, you can see on this shot 03 as you drive in front of the site, this shot here, so that's the hedgerow I was referring to. Looking in through the hedgerow is this shot right here, 02. So that's the front door I was describing. So the addition takes place up above here. And I could go around, and if you want to ask about a specific photo, we could zoom in or...
I think that's okay. Thank you. Since I'm on questions, I'll just finish. There's on the existing lower level floor plan, if you could go to that. And those stairs go where right now?
So there are no stairs right now.
So that's not an existing floor plan? Or
Well,
is that the existing and proposed?
yes,
lower
that's the
level floor
existing
plan?
and proposed.
Okay, now I understand. Okay. Okay, so other questions? Board Member Graffiti.
Can you just take me, it sounds like all the materials will stay the same except for the standing seam metal roof. What color roof are you proposing?
Well, we haven't actually chosen the shade,
Okay.
but it would be a non-reflective. I'm advocating for kind of like a pre-weathered galvalume, like a gray zinc
Cool.
style roof.
Okay, great. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Can you go to your 3D massing sheet? You have 3 of them, I think. So the third one down below, what's happening at that corner of the roof, like upper story, second story roof, that notch?
Right, are you
Yes,
talking about right
exactly.
there?
What's happening there?
So the roof style has predominantly eaves that hang over the wall plane. And so this eave is maintained hanging over the new wall plane of the addition up above. But because it interferes with the roof surface, we don't want to we cut it back to the wall. And you can see that in the roof plan. And that's just to avoid a waterproofing and a hole, if you will, going up the roof. It's a pretty common technique that we use.
Yeah, and the part that it's notched out, is it still have like a little bit overhang on the wall?
Well, I would say for intent of the concept review, it's pretty sheer to the wall. If I can
Okay.
go to the roof plan, it might...
Yes, that would be helpful.
Yeah, clarify that a little bit better. So you can see right here, this is the wall of the addition popping up above the roof. So if this overhang of roof right here were to continue, there would be kind of like an unreachable hole
I see.
underneath.
Okay. I'll leave that to a question for like comment later. And if you can go to the elevations, you had on one side of the upper story smaller windows, like not this one, go, okay, this 85 ones. What size they are and how close is that window to the left to the roof adjacent to it?
Okay, so I can go to the floor plan and show you where they occur. So there are these little windows right here from either side of the master bed head wall, and they're set way back on
Yeah,
this
but
little-
on elevation, the right one, if you go back to your elevation, it seems like a couple of inches to the... No, the left one.
This one?
No, the other one. It's pretty close to it. There's no like
Height
plaster.
above the roof?
No, the corner, bottom right corner of the window. It's so close to the where the roof heat the wall. So I'm wondering, do you see any plaster there?
You should, and there should be more
Okay.
than what's shown in the drawing to be flashed and waterproof off the surface of
Okay.
the roof. So likely, we would either need to raise that up slightly, both of
Yeah.
those windows.
Okay, that's a detail, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like I was wondering about
Yeah,
that.
I agree that you want 6 inches.
So, can you go to a site plan, the existing site plan, or I mean, like if you have a proposed that shows the demo? So, just for understanding, like a broader idea of the project, the existing sheds are to remain.
Yeah, this shed, there's an existing pool, and
There's
this
an-
is the fence corral, but
There's another shed on the above the.
yeah, that's there. That's kind of like a
Okay.
gardening shed.
So all are existing to remain.
Yes.
And how about the driveway? I was looking at the Google Earth. It seems like it's like hardscape asphalt. Are they
No,
to remain?
it's permeable pavement existing right
Okay,
now.
so they're to remain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as I thought I made clear to the board that there's no proposed changes
Okay.
peripheral to
Thank
the
you.
building footprint.
Okay, that was my questions.
Questions, Board Member
yeah.
Rolfe?
Yeah, I was wondering what prompted the introduction of the hip roof for the second story addition.
Well, we wanted to keep the roof form a simple element, turning the corner, it's an L. And if we made gables there, we would just add to the visual height.
Okay.
So it was a softer approach.
Okay, thank you. And then what part of the second story residence can you see from the street where it's covered, where there's a hedge? Can you still see the second story addition?
Well, let's go to those photographs because I feel they tell the story.
Okay.
And as you can see here, depending on where you are on the street, right now there's no visibility. If you get back to the other side of the street, I suspect you'll see some roof elements. And then again, as you peek through this shot, so this is taken actually standing in the portal through the hedge. Yeah, you'll definitely see the second story, but I don't think that's a problem personally.
And then my last question, where you introduced the stair for the living room, is it currently an existing living room?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
All right, comments, Board Member Graffiti?
Okay, great. Generally, I think it's a nice project, modest height, modest second story addition, not a very publicly trafficked road, even though you'll see the second story at 22 feet, well below our requirements. And I appreciate all the neighbor engagement ahead of time. Always great to have immediately impacted neighbors provide positive comments. And yeah, I mean, I know we had questions about the windows and all of that, but we're at concept, and I think this is one that I would feel comfortable providing positive comments and maybe some more specific comments related to windows and details, but I'd be comfortable sending it to consent for other reviews if other board members agree.
Thank you, Board Member Graffiti. Board Member Mosley?
Yeah, I think it's a modest addition to the existing house, and as you're keeping the material board kind of existing, it just like blends into the neighborhood the way that it is. And I don't mind seeing the second story from the street as well, regarding like, you know, the size of the site and everything. And yeah, at concept level, I think like everything is like looking great. And I would like to see like those roof transitioning into each other, like, you know, more details and the windows that we talked about. Rather than that, I feel confident that this can go to consent as well if everybody's okay with it. So
Board Member Ruff, comments?
Yeah, I think what you've done for the second story addition, it blends with the existing residence really nicely. My only comment is I noticed that the roof line does a few jogs, and I realize it's because it's mimicking the jogs in the floor plan. But I'm just wondering if perhaps those jogs could be more cohesive with the overall roof plane. So that's just how I feel personally. So, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ruff. My only comment is that now I understand why you did the hip, but just looking at the existing house, and the photographs of the existing house, if the reason that you chose the hip on the east elevation there was to make the overall height of the structure more diminutive, I would prefer to see a gable and see another gable intersecting it, just like the existing house. That's just my personal opinion, just because gables, I think, are more appropriate for this house. But it's the back side of the house. I don't think a lot of people are going to see it, but I just think it would be more appropriate. So just whatever you want, though, in the end. I think
that's a thoughtful comment, and I get what you're saying there. And I did too feel that the hip was a little alien, but I thought it would be better appreciated in terms of softness. But in terms of keeping that consistency, it's gables and sheds. And
and especially because that second level addition is set back so far over an upper level that the diminishing the height of the upper level is, and the pitch of the roof is so shallow that I think that the gables just all around would look more cohesive. So
I really have to admit, I totally agree, and I would ask you to say north or east.
Northeast. I think it's northeast.
Well, no, but because you really, when you do that on this roof plan, you kind of have a choice. You can have the gable go through and appear from the north side of the site, or you can have it go and come through and appear at the east side. I'm talking about right here.
Yeah, so if you go to if we could see the south elevation, the proposed south elevation.
That's the east.
If you could go to the proposed south elevation, there's, it's where that one is where the gable looks better.
Here's where you don't see the hip. It's these two that you see the hip, both the east and the north. So you would choose one or the other.
Which is why I wanted to look at the south elevation. Okay. Because the south elevation, I think.
I get you, yeah.
So that's the one I think should be the gable that runs through.
Okay, so then you would see it from the east.
So that gable would run through, and the other gable would just die into that.
Correct.
So they'd all be gables, but you'd maintain the south elevation.
We're on the same page.
So that, to me, looks like something that would be a good solution, but you can study it. I just think that.
I'm with you.
Okay. So would anybody like to make a motion to, I think that everybody agrees that this could be an indefinite continuance to the consent calendar. But I'm open to a motion.
You want to make a motion?
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to continue this project to consent. And the board appreciates that the addition goes with the existing architecture nicely. The board looks forward to the applicant studying the gable roof for the second story addition. The board would like the applicant to study the positioning of the windows and anything else I'm missing? Okay. And as a recommendation, if the applicant could study the jogs in the roof line, that would be great too.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Under discussion, can you read back the comment about the roof where you've addressed the board's suggestion about the gable? I want to make sure that's.
Oh, you want me to?
Did you address that did you say that specifically?
I thought so. I was just saying that the board would like the applicant to study or to study the roof form so that it is a gable in lieu of the current hip design.
Yeah, I think this, just if it's okay with the maker and the seconder, I think the comment should read that
Yeah. it's fine.
the board would like the applicant to consider studying gables instead of hip at the,
Can I help in introduction of a gable at the hip location?
that's what, yeah, the board would recommend that the applicant study a replacement of the hip roof with a gable that runs east-west
Yes.
Okay.
through the upper level roof.
Okay.
I just want to make it perfectly clear, even though I know the applicant understands, I think the motion should be clear. And also, I think that the first item that you said, I think that it should read, and I don't remember how it was written, but it should say that the addition is compatible with the existing.
Okay.
I don't remember what was said, but I think it should
Yeah.
be clear that it's compatible. And with the comment regarding the positioning of the windows, it should be, in particular, the upper level window that faces north, that is very close to the roof line of the lower level single-story element.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, if
The
everybody's okay.
seconder accepts those modifications.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mosley?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
And Board Member Rao?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Thank you.
That was good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
We have to take a brief break because we're ahead of schedule, and I think we can start our next agenda item in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I think you can do it 15 minutes ahead of
Yeah,
time.
so we're going to take a brief recess. start the Single-Family Design Board hearing for June 1st with item number 4. So if everybody can sit down and not talk while the rest.
Excuse
Hello.
me, if the members of the public can please take a seat, we are resuming the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, this is item number 4, 3030 Hermosa Road. This is a proposal for a new 2-story home and a detached 2-car garage, rear patio, trellis, and deck. New landscaping, site fencing, and walls are proposed. The total proposed 2,962 square feet on a 7,405 square foot lot is 98% of the maximum required floor area ratio. No appealable, this is a concept review, no appealable decision will take place at this hearing. Neighborhood preservation findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval.
Thank you, Chair Sherry. Before the applicant gets into their presentation, I just had a very brief comment. So the project is over 85% of the required FAR, and so typically applicants are required to provide supplemental materials such as street silhouette elevation, story poles, and the 20 closest home survey. Unless waived by the board. So when you're making your motion today, if you can please include a comment on whether you waive these supplemental materials. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Your name for the record, names for the record.
Ellen Bilston, Bilston Architecture and Planning.
Scott Stanky, Bilston Architecture and Planning.
And I'm just going to make one comment before you start, that it helps us if you start your presentation with an overview of the neighborhood, photos, just so everybody gets a feel for the site. Instead of us having to ask questions about photos and site later, it kind of just helps to orient us to the project. You're probably going to do that anyway, but wanted to just...
Thanks for the reminder.
Get these controls going here, sorry. Zoom in on the site. And then, Ellen, why don't you describe the site and I'll drive since you...
Sure. Yeah, this is a very, very residential, walkable neighborhood. Not a lot of traffic. It's not part of the typical street grid of Santa Barbara. So unless you live within these local streets, you're probably not likely to be driving through there. It's a bit disconnected, as you can see by the perimeter, Las Positas and Upper State Street. De La Vina skims along more of the eastern side of this neighborhood. So for the most part, traffic would be going around this neighborhood and not through it. It's a quite eclectic neighborhood. There's a wide variety of styles, very unique homes there. The home that is there at 3030 Hermosa Road currently has been there for many decades. The owners of it have owned it for a very long time, and they've lived elsewhere, but they have family here in Santa Barbara, and their goal is to settle into the house. The current house has a lot of issues with it, having been rented for many years. So between some deferred maintenance issues and the desire for a different sort of house than what it is, they decided that they would replace it and locate the site plan in quite a different way from what it is currently, pushing the house much farther back on the lot, which gradually slopes as it heads farther away from the street. So we'll take a closer look at that in a bit. To the left of the house is, Roy was just pointing out to me, an interesting home that's got a lot of interesting history to it. In general, we're staying more on the southern side of the property and having open areas towards that direction of the house. So this is what it looks like from the street. There's a mix of 2-story and 1-story homes in that neighborhood. We did do the 20 nearest property study to share with you today, and we're happy to give you a couple of copies of those if that's helpful. So just to give a flavor, and so Scott, if you want to jump in,
Sure.
Go for it.
So, there we go. You don't hold it, okay. This is a photo key, and I apologize, I'm a little clunky getting around here. That's the main house right there, the subject, 3030 Hermosa. And I'm going to zoom out so we get a few more pictures in one view. And this, as of right now, there is no front yard wall or fence. So the yards kind of share each other. To the left of the existing garage. The idea is, and Ellen, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, so this is pretty much a complete tear down. And we're trying to be as sensitive as we can, and with what the owners are hoping to get out of the property. So what we've asked, we've pushed them back for privacy, which is also really making even a less impact on the neighborhood, because what you will have is a typical 2-car garage, but most of the 1- and 2-story proposed house will be pushed back further than most houses in the neighborhood. And this is a continued of the existing home. This is number 9 here is from the rear yard. Next one, next sheet. And you go ahead and stop me if you want to see something closer, or this is kind of the street walk. Let me get the key here so we know where we are. So this is as
Yeah, these are one home next to the other as one walks down the street on both sides.
so number 12 is in plan view down to the right. And then number 3 is that historic as you were discussing.
Yeah. So that gives you a flavor for the neighborhood. One of the things we noted was the gardens. The front gardens are really nice in general on most of the homes in that neighborhood. And this property is right now pushed as far to the front as can be. There is a jacaranda tree in the front yard that is not in good health. And one of our goals is to create more of a garden environment and emphasize landscape more out to the street than what it is currently. I can transition to the site plan.
Okay, let me get a full screen.
So as I mentioned, the natural grade drops as you get farther back on the lot. So we're at a high point where we meet the street, and then it tapers off towards the back. So one of the big design decisions was to locate just the garage near the street and repurpose the existing driveway, and then and detach the house from the garage, unlike what it is now, separately, so it's more set into the garden. So you can see the site plan here. It situates the house more with garden behind it, garden in front of it, a garden path to get to it, getting past that 1-story garage at the front of the property. And again, as we go further back, we go downhill. So the siding of the house makes the 2-story fit in with this mixed 1- and 2-story neighborhood.
This is the existing home, which is going to be demoed.
Or deconstructed.
Actually, it is, right?
Yep. Salvage the materials.
Would you like us to explain the idea of the plans, or keep?
If if it helps us understand the mass, bulk, and scale, yes. Otherwise, it's not as important.
Okay. I'll give you a brief idea of the back and forth we had with the client. And it was basically their interests in this time of their life, retired, and then also family is a big part of their life. And so this is something they want all their kids and grandkids to be able to come and enjoy with them as a hub as they want to move back and be local here in Santa Barbara. So mainly a big open entertainment for family, and then but also keep a somewhat of a privateness from the community. And so this lent to be almost a courtyard situation, and then a very nice backyard, which was both private and useful and functional for outdoor events, dining and kids enjoying the yard. And upstairs, we separated into the living and more private areas, which is basically a primary bedroom and then an ensuite. Each of the bedrooms is also one of their offices. They each wanted to stay out of their own way. So when they're doing their own projects, they each had their own office / bedroom that would end up serving their family.
And then there's a deck up page with a trellis, and so that's what we've got north in that direction, and we're stepping so that we're respecting the solar access requirements.
We'll get on to the fun stuff here. So roof plan, basically a flat roof with solar on the furthest away from the street. This is the existing elevations of the proposed tear down. As you can see here, it's quite a fall from the front elevation of the street to the actual backyard grade, of which there is also a creek running, so it's heavily vegetated around the rear yard. And the idea on the design was they wanted to have the look of the plaster, the traditional Santa Barbara smooth stucco. They liked the wood accents. And many iterations later, this was driven with a kind of a form and function of some of the houses in the neighborhood, and then what they were fit their desire as far as the look and really how they interact throughout the home. This shows the solar access, of which we have in the next submittal. We've already fixed this as per one of your comments for a completion letter.
Yeah, so that trellis is going to be pulled back so that it's not encroaching in the solar access.
So this fade back is kind of in elevation to depict the idea that the garage is really what is the front elevation, is that the home is set back another 30 feet. And we're excited to hear your initial comments because upon the next hearing, we will be able to provide some nice visuals, 3D, in context of what we were, of the ideas and examples around town of how this we found was compatible, even though it's an eclectic neighborhood, it did have a good Santa Barbara feel, we felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the owner's priority was really about outdoor living, and so both the front and the back, and, you know, sort of setting this house into this garden context, so that during their day, they would just be, you know, outside enjoying the surroundings, and there's some wonderful mountain views from there. Anyway, so we'd love to hear your thoughts about the project.
Is that the end of your presentation?
Yes.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
Okay, thank you, Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment, and I do have one speaker slip from Roy Hawthorne. If you'd like to make your way to the podium so that you can speak, Mr. Hawthorne.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Roy, can you speak into the microphone and make sure the green button is on too?
Sure. It's Roy Hawthorne, by the way, with an R. I call it my scarlet letter because Nathaniel changed his name to distance himself from a certain judge of the Salem witch trials. Nevertheless, I am a former building official. I was the building official of this department. That was my office over here quite a while ago. I've been retired for some time. I started a business doing contract plan review for city and county agencies all across the state. And I've pretty well closed that down as well, but I've had several clients that had historic buildings that needed to have historic designation in order to get past things like the Canal landslide ordinance, for example. There's a house up there that was fortunately rebuilt, but and declared a historic structure. It's on state and national register. And any case, I was asked to be on the city's list of historians as well. So I've worked over the years, first with Mary Lou Days, and then Nicole Hernandez, and then similar folks over at the county. Any case, I am a neighbor. I live more or less one house to the side and across the street. I live at 3017 Hermosa Road. And I'm not nearly as affected as the gentleman who I'm actually here to represent today, because he had a family issue that took him out of town and he couldn't be here. That's Scott Wilson. He lives immediately next door to the project. And I've known Scott in and really, a lot of the neighbors up and down Hermosa Road, because I've done various consulting and just walking the dog, meeting these folks. And Scott has expressed some concerns with me that it's a tight space in between the two houses, and that it's affected him. And he's also happens to be aware that it's a house built by a famous person, that being Scott's house. It's was built by Earl Ovington, who was the first pilot to fly in Santa Barbara. He built an airport.
Mr. Hawthorne?
Yes.
Just because your time is up, and I want to make sure that you have enough time to say what you need to say about the project.
Yeah.
I
really,
would suggest keeping your summary to be relative to the project instead of like background on the neighbor. And
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get to the point. It's my belief, based on my understanding of the state historic building code, that there is an obligation to provide a historic building report by the applicant to show what its effects are on these elements, these properties that are potentially affected by any kind of development. Ovington, briefly, is a famous pilot. He built the first airport in Santa Barbara, which is over on Macaw. It's where the golf course is today. And there are remnants of that building that were actually moved out to Goleta. One of the airport facilities was named after Ovington. And he built his own house on the next street. It's Samarkand Drive. It's really in a straight line between homes, of course. And the house is actually known within the neighborhood and in the flying community as the Flyers Club. A number of famous pilots, Amelia Earhart, and others, I've got a list of them here, flew there, stayed there, and Ovington also essentially bought the whole Samarkand neighborhood from the suddenly blocking again the big property out to the west. I'm sorry. Any case, there's a house over there that was occupied. Well, Earl and his family lived where Scott and his family live today.
Mr. Hawthorne, I would suggest that before the staff closes public comment, that anything you want to say specifically more about this particular, the history of this particular house, as it might possibly affect this review of this project would be a good idea.
Okay. My real contribution is that I believe you don't want to set yourself up for a potential lawsuit for lack of addressing the fact that there's an effect on a historic facility. And, you know, if Nicole was here today, she's retired, I understand, or Mary Lou Days, who's, believe it or not, still alive. She's close to 90 years old, I think, at this point. She was the historian for the city back when I started years and years ago. But nevertheless, it's my understanding that a developer that's affecting a neighboring building that happens to be historic is under obligation to provide the entity, that being the city, a report saying what the effect is, you know, and that's what I'm here to say for Scott. And Scott had his own issues. I said, Scott, you'll need to come and share those directly, because, you know, I'm not you. Don't know all the specifics. All I do know, it's a very narrow driveway between the two homes, and that there have also been problems with utilities. They're all underground, and Edison has been a ongoing problem in that particular neighborhood as far as where to put the underground utilities. So that's all I have to say, really.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good luck.
Okay, upon checking Zoom for public comment, I do not see any raised hands for anyone to speak. We did receive one email for public correspondence from a Kate and Ian Parker. And with that, I'll turn it over back to you, Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually, before we start questions, I have a question for staff. Has this project gone through a full planning and environmental review and received comments and feedback regarding any historical report or requirements to provide reports or requirements to be sensitive to adjacent potential historic structure? I would like to know that, and I think the board probably wants to know that.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Sherry. This isn't my project, so I need a couple minutes to look into the comments we received during the first completeness letter round, and I can get back to
Actually,
you.
I can ask that question to the applicant, because they'll know then
Okay.
if you don't know. So I'll just start with that. Okay, that's okay. I wanted, this particular question, though, relates specifically to something that you were talking about. So if you want to hear the question and get an answer to the question you specifically asked, you might want to hang around for a few more minutes. So my question for the applicant is, has staff provided you with any feedback regarding requirements for a review of the adjacent structure and its historic significance, and how you might be required to address an impact on that potential historic resource?
So I brought a copy of the incomplete letter that we received from planning staff. There's an advisory item, the historic resource evaluation. California Government Code requires a city to conclude if the project is a historic resource prior to a completeness determination. An administrative resource evaluation was completed by the city's architectural historian, Ashley Thomas Pate, who determined that the project does not qualify as a historic resource. No further action is required.
So is Ashley saying that the neighboring property is not a historic resource?
I
What did- I-
believe
I'm
she's
not understanding.
commenting on this property.
Oh, she's only basing her comments based on the proposed demolition of the existing
Correct.
resource.
That's
So my
my
question is
understanding.
not that. My question is, has anybody said anything about being sensitive to the neighboring parcel and how a potential two-story development close to an existing potential historic resource next door, has staff mentioned anything else about that?
I'm scanning the letter right now. I don't recall seeing anything like that in the letter, but I'm just making sure that I haven't missed something.
Well, you can keep looking, and
Yeah.
we'll keep going with other questions. Board Member Roth, questions?
Oh, yeah. Are there any windows from the adjacent residence on the north side that would have views of the second-story deck?
I apologize, I was still scanning
that's
this letter.
okay.
Could you repeat
Oh,
your
that's
question?
okay. Actually, I think I know the answer because it's one story. I said, are there any windows from the adjacent residence on the north side that would have views of the second-story deck? But I see it's one story, the adjacent residence, so, yeah.
Right.
And then my other question is, how did you decide to make a jog in the first floor plan between the living room and the kitchen?
I can speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Let me get the plan here so everyone knows what we're looking at. Okay. Hello. Sorry, guys. Refresh. Should I hit the refresh? Or is that dangerous?
We have a blank screen, staff.
You can try it here.
It's zoomed out, isn't it?
when the file sizes are a bit large.
There it goes.
While
I
we're
bet you that
getting
does
there, I did complete running through the letter. I see nothing about doing a historic study of the adjacent property.
There we go. Awesome.
And I'm assuming
Yeah.
that we're done with public comment. Did I jump the gun on questions because there's still people in the audience? Did anybody else want to speak?
Kathy, did we have any more public comment?
Did I jump the gun on questions? Was there any more public comment and I didn't let you
No,
finish?
there wasn't. We checked on Zoom.
Okay.
I reported whether that we
Okay,
did
thank
get
you.
public comment on
Okay, go
written.
ahead.
Okay.
Okay, and I think, repeat your question for me.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how you decided to make the, there's like a change in wall plane. Yeah, right there.
Right there?
Yeah.
Well, part of it was,
Where's that change in wall plane? I can't.
I'm
can't
sorry,
see
it's right
cursor.
here. Here's the exterior
Oh.
door to the backyard. And what happened is the priorities for the kitchen had kind of changed. And because the upstairs, you could see the dashed line as a building line above, it didn't really change anything on the exterior design. And so we told them we can get a little bit more room there in the kitchen if that helped.
Got it. And then I was wondering if you were to somehow pay ode to the residents next door. Do you have any ideas off of the top of your head of what you would do?
I actually do,
Okay.
because that was really interesting what he
Yeah.
was saying.
Yeah.
Because during our design process, and I'm going to zoom in real quick
Okay.
to the neighboring home, a lot of talk with our clients and what they liked about next door home. Let me get to the picture before I start.
And they're good friends with the neighbor that
Yeah.
Roy was referring to, and they've spoken to him numerous times about the plans for this
They share a
reconstruction.
driveway. Here we go. What's interesting is a lot of the elements that we were implementing into our home design here were taken directly from this home. So we wanted to do the thickened walls. So all of we're double framing to our expense to get this really nice traditional look of a thick white plastered wall. The size and scale of the windows that we're using, for the most part, are basically mimicking their front little area here. And if you look in what they really like, because we've gone back and forth on the trellis work a lot, and we came up with ideas. We want some very large columns with an old distress, like we recovered them as part of the home. So it's got some contemporary feel to it, but we wanted to give a real good ode to what it's all about in the neighborhood. Now, we don't have a clay old, tile roof, but if that's the only thing really that's separating us, and it's much more fitting in than the existing home that we're replacing.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Sure.
Okay, if we can go to the site plan that you had the neighboring boundaries on. My question is regarding that narrow, like the easement.
Sure. Do you want this one?
The driveway, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is good. This is like,
Maybe the site
so,
plan
yeah.
will show our-
Yeah, the
Ours.
proposed, it will be better. So the question is that driveway between the next door and your property, is this an easement between two? Or it's in their property, in their bound property line?
Yeah, their driveway actually is somewhat on these folks' property currently. So you can see we had the survey done, and where the edge of the pavement is actually on this property. In any case, these neighbors are good friends with each other. There's
Okay.
no issue. We're going to leave things the way they are currently, so that it doesn't take away any portion of the driveway that they currently have.
That was where I was going to. So it's proposed to be existing. So like there are a little bit landscape there. There's like existing hedge, but it's like not tall. So they're like proposed to just remain as is, or any additional landscaping is proposed there. I know that you guys are in concept, so you might not have the landscape
We've
plan.
thought
but-
about it a lot,
Okay.
though. And we have a landscape architect.
Okay.
We weren't prepared enough to actually show it at this point, but he's very good. That being said, the future plans, the plans that are proposed are going to actually lend grace to the existing on his property, so that access way we're not building anything that's going to keep him from using his driveway. At the same time, once you get towards the back, we are going to introduce either a wall or a hedge that lends some more privacy.
Okay, thank you for that. I have a question to the staff. I know that you are checking, but I want to make sure that we were looking at 3034 as being a designated.
She doesn't know because she's not the planner.
Yeah, I know, but is that the property, is that the address that we're?
So it does show that this is adjacent to a historic resource, but I'm not sure the exact address, but I can check. But just to kind of speak a little bit on that topic, so I know that we do require new construction to be compatible with adjacent historic resources, and typically that's listed on the project description in the agenda, but it seems like it didn't make it into this one. And I believe my understanding is that's kind of part of the board's neighborhood preservation findings is, whether or not the project is compatible with the neighborhood.
So you're saying that the staff knows about that concern and had comments about that, knowing that it was a finding that we had to make, but there were no other notes to us about staff's opinion about that?
No, there weren't any comments to the applicant. I'm just kind of explaining what our process is.
Okay, so we just found out, probably on the city's designated historical properties, the next door neighbor is listed, but
with the incomplete letter, they have, like, the applicant didn't notice that they have to do anything, and we just noticed that, yeah?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
mean, the applicant, they kind of just have to design the project with, this idea in mind, because it will come into play when the board needs to make their neighborhood preservation findings for project design approval.
Okay.
So that's kind of how
We'll
it.
just move on about that, and we'll talk about that later. I'm just gonna ask like a architecture question. If you go to one of the sections or elevation that was showing the deck above the living room, I was wondering, the wall above it is I think like it's a 2 feet 6-inch wall. Is that supposed to be like a roof that has access, like it's like a deck, or it's just like the parapet is like taller?
No, so let me show you first on
Yeah.
this floor plan. This is the only accessible deck in the
Okay.
project.
I see.
Everything else is, even the garage, there may be solar on top of the garage, depending on, they really are into wanting to make this, solar
I see.
is as net zero as possible on this project. So we're leaving a lot of roof space for solar or future solar.
Okay, so where was that 30-inch?
Hey, let me go to the section so you could tell me exactly what you were thinking.
Well, there's a perimeter planter around there.
Oh, is that what you're?
I think that's what you're referring to, Shannon.
Section?
Yeah, you know what? It's not showing. Okay, let me zoom in here. This space from here to here is a 2.5 foot. That's going to be.
I'm sorry, I'm referring to this.
Okay, perfect.
Where's that?
Now, if you look on the plan, that is right here.
Okay, I see.
That is basically a raised planter, so we don't have to put railing.
Oh, I see.
So it's like a
That's why.
barrier and also a setback from any neighbors.
Okay, and if you go to south elevation. So my question is about the window that like there are a lot of 3As, but on the right side, the window that has the head height higher, is the plate height changing in that part of the house? Why the head height is like higher than the other windows? Is that a reason?
Well, this is the primary bathroom.
Okay.
And so they wanted to get as much light in there as possible because of the depth of it. And because we have a privacy wall on the other side, so you're not getting light from the other side. And another thing is to use the minimal amount of HVAC. They also wanted to be able to have more natural ventilation without losing privacy.
Okay.
So we can make that where the top vents and the bottom still have privacy glass.
And in the whole project, I'm just talking more broader, is that the only window that has like the head height of the window is taller than the other ones? Or this concept is happening anywhere else?
In answer to your original question, the plate height does step up.
Oh, I
in
see.
that right portion.
That was what I was guessing.
I believe it goes from a 9-foot ceiling to a 10-foot ceiling in that portion, which is their primary bedroom area.
I see, that's
So,
why.
right, that's why.
Okay.
And so the other windows on this portion are also with a similar head height.
And my last question is that have you or team studied like examples in the neighborhood, like flat roof, other projects? I understand that the neighborhood is like very eclectic, but have you guys studied the existing flat roofs that are built around the neighborhood?
Yeah, even broader. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are a few in
There
the
are.
neighborhood.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just
Not
wanted to-
predominantly,
Okay.
but they do exist.
Those are all my questions.
Board Member Graffiti, questions?
Okay. What you mentioned the jockround in the front. What is it about the tree that's in poor health?
An arborist has taken a look at it and just said it's not thriving, so it would be something that would be removed in
Do you
any
guys have an
case.
arborist report on it, or this was just a verbal comment?
The landscape architect that we're working with
Yeah.
has an arborist working together with them.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Let's go to height. What's the height to the top of the tallest portion of the home?
27 feet for,
Wait, no, that's the
24/7 and a quarter.
27.4 to top of parapet.
No, but that's 274 feet is what they're talking
Oh.
about, sea level.
It's really small.
250,
I'll zoom in here.
and then 274, so 24
24
feet, 8
7
inches.
Yeah.
Oh,
7 1/4.
oh, there we
Which
go.
we're getting.
Okay, 24 feet, 7 1/4. Okay, and a question for staff really quickly. Since we're talking about FAR and there's questions about what would be waived and it's a required floor area ratio, it's just under 100%. If an ADU, for example, were proposed in the future, would it be allowed to surpass 100% FAR?
Well, it would depend if the ADU meets the ministerial criteria or not. So if it's, a strictly ministerial ADU, I don't believe it counts, but I'm not sure.
Got it. Okay. And let's see. The deck. How big is the deck and how many feet is it from the property line?
Are you would you like to know, are you looking for square footage?
Yeah.
Don't know offhand, but I do have it on the first page. $367 square feet, private deck. And that includes the planter area.
And how many feet is it from the property line of the neighbor?
That is a good question, but we can figure that out right now. I know it's for sure to the setback downstairs, and then we go over 2 more feet.
The reason I'm asking is we have a guideline that decks of a certain size should typically be 15 feet or greater from the property line. So it's
Right.
helpful for us to know if it's less than 15 feet, what is the
It's
distance?
less than 15 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, is there any lighting that's going to be proposed? I don't know if I missed that in plans. I know we're early at concept.
None, we actually took it off to not lead you guys into something that there is going to be lighting.
Okay, but you're not at that point where
Not at
you're
that
deciding, okay?
Right.
And then you made a comment about that it has a good Santa Barbara feel towards the end of your presentation. Can you just help me understand in terms of like materiality or style, what feels Santa Barbara?
Sure.
The home?
Well, I think that the biggest and the overall majority of the project is going to be the smooth Santa Barbara finish stucco.
Okay.
And then adding to that, we're making sure that none of the windows are fin placed on, so their depth, their minimum of 3 to 6 inches deep.
Okay.
Which is, I think, a pretty good standard Santa Barbara feel for that. And then on the finish, we're going to do dark frames for like a dark bronze for the window frames.
Okay.
And the scale or the language, and this was a big deal for the clients, is they wanted this overall language of the window system. And so we made sure we didn't get any of these really big, giant window areas. Everything's been brought to be at scale per the scale of the actual form.
Okay.
So there's no big window walls that are windows butting into corners. So it's got a contemporary feel, but we're still trying to fit it into the Santa Barbara tradition.
Okay.
With materiality.
Gotcha. And then last question, sorry, I just remembered. I know it sounds like landscape plan isn't set in stone or anything. I'm still confused about the driveway, and I'm looking at the plan here and I'm seeing like flagstone or something. Is the red line the property line and where the driveway overlaps? And then if that's the case, what is the flagstone that's reading under that?
So this is delineating the 5 foot 2 inches is the setback.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I zoom in here, you can see that is the existing walkway that actually exists there. And so they wanted to make it match the rest of the home by putting in the Santa Barbara style stone.
Okay, so that portion is not a driveway.
No, that's a walkway. In
It's
fact,
just
we're
above
putting
that.
a stone face, a low wall here just because we didn't like the way all the trash cans could be seen.
Okay.
And so we were kind of putting up a block there.
Okay.
And that same low wall goes around the front of the property, which will be all in the Santa Barbara quarry stone.
And then can you go just quickly scroll to the backyard?
Sure.
Okay. Got it.
Want me to zoom out a little bit here?
And that red line it says, that's like a utility line or something.
Oh, yeah.
What is the open yard? Is there a landscape plan going there for the? Or,
It will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
we'll
was
bring
looking at
that
the other
next time.
shrubs, so I wasn't sure why some of it was there.
Yeah, it's because this is actually part of our 3D presentation,
Okay.
which we opted to not tell you until it was more of a finish.
Okay. Totally fine. That's it for questions for me.
So the driveway is going to match that same flagstone?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's not, you didn't carry that
Oh,
materiality
I'm sorry,
through.
I misspoke. No, we weren't doing the driveway, it was going to be more traditional. It was going to be once you're inside the property, we were going to.
What's the material proposed for the driveway?
It's going to be some sort of paver that the landscape architect will come up with that will be.
That's traditional? You said it's going to be traditional? Like,
Yeah, in other words, it's not going to be faced by stone. So,
It might need to be permeable, so
Yeah,
I think we're not sure what it's going to be, but we know we need to meet multiple
You
criteria.
gave us a 20 closest home analysis, but where is 3030 relative to the largest and the smallest? Because I can't seem to decipher it.
exactly what you said.
No, I see the numbers, but where are you in this largest to smallest? Because that would, I mean, your 3030 isn't on the list, it's down at the bottom
It
on
is.
its own. And so I'm just wondering where you are in the 20 closest homes, which number are you? Toward the top or the bottom, or?
Depending on if you want to, by far, we are towards the
The FAR.
FAR. If you sort it by far, we are in between, let's see, we're 29.
Because there's 2 pages and they're all different, it looks like they're all different addresses.
Yeah, they are. So
they're not.
each
They're
page is,
not.
one is sorted by size and one is sorted by FAR, from least, or from most to least.
But your project isn't on the list. It's
Yeah.
isolated, so I don't know
Correct.
where it sits.
Well, then, we could help you figure that out right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we're at, if we look at the total, we're at 2962. And so where does 2962 fall in the rank of far?
Number 1. No? No, I'm looking.
Page 2 square footage, page 1 is.
I'm looking, I just want to know, where are you in the 20 closest homes with regards to FAR? Where are you as far as like the
We're
highest
near
FAR?
the top.
You're
So-
near the top, or are you the
Well,
top?
we are the top.
You're the top.
Right, the FAR of the rank of number 1 is 0.39.
So there's no homes that are larger than you. This project would be the largest.
That's not actually true.
Not actually, because if you look at somewhere in the middle is the lot size in net square feet. There's quite a wide variety from 7405, if you look sort of the middle column of
I know,
page
but
one.
you're .4 FAR. I'm
Right.
on the FAR sheet, the first sheet.
Yeah,
And then your number 1 home on this sheet is .39.
that's
If
right.
you rank by FAR, so you would be the highest floor area ratio. And you just said not really.
Well, sorry,
if the
because you
lot
said,
was
you
half
asked,
the
is it the largest house? And it's not the largest house. There are larger homes, but on larger lots. So we're a relatively large home on a small lot.
Okay, I get it. So I have a couple more questions. You were talking about, I'm going to talk about plate heights. sorry, go to that section where you had the overall height, and then I just want to understand the floor-to-floor heights. Because I didn't see them on here. I think if you could just explain the floor-to-floor heights. I think there was another sheet that you had the overall height, and you had a 13.4 to the top of the parapet. That one might be closest to what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well,
Or
this-
there,
Yeah,
10
this one shows a
10 feet.
10 feet plate on the downstairs.
And then 11, because you said the primary bedroom jumps up to a 10-foot plate height, but it's actually an 11-foot plate height?
In just that portion, correct. If we're talking about the actual plate for structure, it's at 11 and in the back, and it's at 9 in the front. So this primary bathroom and primary bedroom, where on the roof plan it shows the element is bigger, that is 11-foot plate.
And then my other question is about, you were talking about compatibility, and you were specifically referring to the neighbor, and that you were talking about the respect for the neighbor and how you took cues from the neighbor on the design, and that you liked the neighboring historic structure so much that you wanted to incorporate some of the details, and you were talking about the columns and the trellis. Can you go to your elevations where you have the trellis? And then you mentioned that you wanted really big columns. And so where are those big columns that you're referring to, both on the historic adjacent home and on your home? Where are those large columns that you were referring to?
Well, let me clarify what I meant was that historic home that we just found out was historic has elements that also tend to pull from the overall Santa Barbara, which is what I think you're referring to, and which is these 8x8 columns that we're showing that are holding up the trellis right here where the cursor is. So here's one of them, and then here's the other one. And all of the columns throughout the project holding up a trellis would be 8x8. And they will be treated such where they are stained and have a nice aged feel to them.
And then you were talking about the trellis beam ends, and specifically saying that you liked the adjacent house beam ends, and it was a detail that you wanted to incorporate. So it's hard to tell on these elevations, but to me, it just looks like the post goes into a beam, and it's a straight cut, and there's no overhang, and it looks very contemporary. So
It is contemporary, and that was what we wanted, and so we were trying to materialize that with what was next door. So there are no beam ends per se in our project, but that was the intent, and it's the idea of the trellis and the materiality of the wood that we're using. So we were not trying to make a Spanish home per se, like an EPV, or we wanted to give the client what they wanted, but then give some sort of feeling, because it is an eclectic neighborhood.
So what you were really trying to say is that you wanted that the fact that you used wood as a trellis material is where you were picking on the historic materiality of the adjacent structure. That's really what you meant, not
That and the size of there's a lot of historic size in heavy timber.
And then you mentioned, if you go to I don't know if there's a site section, I think there is, or maybe just the north elevation, but in the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned that you were moving the house back to get a more significant front yard. But then you were also, because the property slopes down, it gave you an opportunity to also blend the house into the site by lowering the house as it went down the hill. So I'm trying to understand where you've done that on your design. So maybe go to the site section. I think you had a site section that showed that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand
I'll
where you
point
did
out
that.
that elevation right there for the actual front elevation. What it actually did is it gave us the opportunity to not max out the height in the neighborhood and still give them that 11-foot plate in their bedroom. So we weren't stepping the house down per se, the grade, but we weren't raising it up. We're actually at a typical 2-story height, even though we're able to
A
provide.
typical two-story height is not an 11-foot, I'll say that for comments.
What is a
but-
typical 2-story
Never
height?
mind. It's okay, we're not in comments yet. But, so what you really meant was instead of bringing the house back, or you've situated the house so that if you drew a horizontal line from the front of the house all the way to the back, because your finished floors drop, you were able to get higher ceiling heights in the back because the whole overall height did not exceed a certain height
You
limit.
said that perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what, I understood something different when you were explaining it. You were saying it gave us the opportunity to make the house blend more with the site, is kind of how you said
Right.
it.
In our opinion, the house, we're not trying to blend. We actually feel like by setting it back, no one's even going to know much of what's going on back there once it's landscaped. They're going to see a garage. That's really a big
And a
point of the
garden.
home, yeah.
And the front garden
It's going to
and
be
the
all
wall.
about the landscape, so that's,
Okay, so, so with that being said, and you don't have I want to provide us with as much information as we can get before we make our comments, even though you don't have a landscape plan that shows us what that landscaping is. Does that mean that the front elevation is going to be, the front yard is going to be heavily wooded? Like with a lot of trees?
Not heavily wooded.
I mean, not
but,
heavily wooded, but with a lot of significant trees, so you're not going to see the house at all?
I don't know, significant trees. It's still a work in progress, and the owners are very involved in the decision-making, so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. The owner actually grew up in a nursery family, so she knows a lot about different plants and has, very strong opinions about things. I don't get the sense that they're going to be particularly tall trees that they would bring in there, but anyway, we'll reserve that till we really show up with the landscape plan and
Okay.
can tell you what more
Okay,
about
those
it.
are all of my questions. Comments?
Everybody did the questions?
Oh, are we done with questions? No.
I'm done, yeah, I went.
Oh.
Did we all do questions?
Yeah, I'm done with
Okay,
questions.
sorry.
yeah.
Is it possible to ask a question? I'm sorry.
No, but since you're here and now you asked, is it very quick?
Very quick. It's extremely quick. I'm interested in the sense of scale of this house relative to the
We're going to actually have to open up public comment for you to ask a question, and I'm okay with that for a very brief question.
It's a very brief question. My name is Ian Parker. I'm a neighbor. I'm interested in the sense of scale of this building relative to the buildings nearby, particularly the one next door to it. You mentioned the highest point was 24 feet 7 inches, but the house is set back and downhill slightly because of the sloping lot. So what's the highest point relative to the highest point on the historical house next door that Roy was talking about earlier? What's that height difference?
I don't know if I could figure that out right here because we don't have a survey of the next door.
So
How far does the because the elevation decrease? How much is the property below street level?
Okay, so I think I understand your question, and if I understand your question, we'll close public comment.
Yes.
And before we go into comments, I will ask a question to the applicant, and that is, going back to that site section, what's the overall height at the back of the lot, from the grade in the back of the lot up to the overall height of the building?
Yeah.
I think that's what he's
I
asking.
did find on this front elevation where we could see how far the finished floor is sunk below sidewalk, which gives you kind of an idea.
I think that what would be better is if we saw not the front of the back of the house. I think we're going to be able to see it in the north of the south elevation, which are the side elevations, because that's the crosswise section through the upper and the lower portions of the site. Not those elevations.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the ones
I'm getting
above,
there.
yeah.
So the blue
So,
line.
so zoom out. And so the right-hand side of the upper drawing, it's, the answer to the question is 27 feet, 4
And a quarter, basically 24
inches.
feet, 8 inches. If you could just say that, you'd probably be right.
27 feet, 4 inches. Okay, okay, comments. Board member,
Yes.
Mosley.
Sure. Okay. I think first, I mean, now that we know the neighbor is a historic house, so that's a study that needs to be done, that implements, like that, what's the.
Was that just a mistake that they didn't, that wasn't part of our?
And if I may, so
Don't know
yeah,
about that, but I was
tried
just
to
gonna
do-
add that.
I
that-
apologize for the interruption. If I can just clarify, so I tried to do a little bit of research. I can't tell from our records if there is an adjacent potential historic resource or not. So I would just recommend that the board include comments in their motion, that staff look into that.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about the interruption.
Okay, moving on from that, I think for all of us, for the neighbors, it would be great to have a site section that show like a east-west site section that shows the neighbor to the east and west and the height of the house. And because of the character of the site being like a long rectangle, it would be good to have like one where you have like the garage in the site plan or like the front mass of the building, and one at the taller part of the building. That would be really helpful for, I think, like next time for everybody, because there will be questions about that, like how like that relationship of the windows of the east and west to the neighboring property. So I think that would be really helpful. Regarding the architecture character of the house, I totally understand that it's like the eclectic neighborhood, and I think it would be helpful to have like a couple of images of the flat roof other houses in the neighborhood and how their characters are. Are they like very contemporary, or they have traditional elements? So we can like progress the architectural style of the house all together here. And I think one of my comments about, I understand that you're using the materials like the plaster finish to kind of like mimic the Santa Barbara style. I mean, like it's kind of like it's a contemporary house. So we're not forcing anything here, but I appreciate that like the thickened wall will help a little bit, like blends it into the neighborhood, not like very contemporary flush windows. But one thing that I think like for me is very dominant is the garage door, because it's too close to the, what we see at first, and what we see is the garage door from the street. And because we're not seeing the landscape on the elevations, and we're not seeing the stone walls that you were talking about, so we're now seeing the raw kind of elevation that are very honest, like massing. So that's not, I think, in the end result will not be what we are seeing. So now what I'm seeing only is just the garage door at first. And most of the other things are the background. And the other thing that it's a graphic thing on the elevations. Like at first I thought all the trellises are metal, black metal. So it gave that feeling. So I was not having the relationship of the wood posts that you were talking about. So I think that will help like the colors and like for, moving forward with the project.
A few
To
rendering
show
images.
the palettes are the palette of what we are seeing. What you were talking about, the plaster is like warm, the wood, but we're seeing very colder palette here. And it's only because of the graphic. And I think that will be helpful for the board with addition of the landscaping.
Can I ask you something on your section
Yes.
request? I pulled up the survey and it shows where we are in context. Should I do one up here towards the front so it'll go through our garage and the neighbor houses? And then on the rear,
Yeah, like the taller part.
yeah, I mean, there's
no-
nothing next to it.
Okay, so like you can find one in the middle that like
Okay.
defines the relationship to the neighbors.
Okay.
Well, it could be just one, you can
Right.
pick. And I think, yeah, that was my comments.
But am I correct in thinking what the site section you're looking for really cuts through?
You know, just all site sections, like just site
Yeah,
sections that
okay.
illustrate the property. Like, this is not a back and forth conversation right now. Sorry, you guys. It's just site
Making sure we're
sections,
clear.
transverse, longitudinal site sections.
Yeah, whatever like defines the project, I agree, yeah. Okay, I think that was all my comments.
Board Member Graffiti, comments?
Okay. I have a lot of scattered notes. I apologize. I can agree with a lot of what's been said. I am really struggling at concept as I think about mass, bulk, and scale with the project in the way that I think two-story homes are acceptable in the neighborhood. I think with the eclectic styles of homes there, and I'd love to see contemporary examples, but the way that the height is really being pushed at close to 25 feet, but then across such a wide, I don't know, ridge line or parapet, I don't know what the correct word is. You know, a lot of times we see on a second story a 25-foot max height, but it's a gable, so it's just at the height of the point. So I'm a little just concerned with the possible loom, and essentially on the south elevation, it's just kind of a two-story box. I think on the north elevation, where it sounds like the owner's friends with the neighbor, there's stepping back, there's deck, there's wood elements that soften it. And you can even go to page, let's see, I think it's 11. But on the south elevation, it really just presents as kind of a stacked two-story box. And I think studying if there are other contemporary houses in the neighborhood that are two-story, how is that resolved? What's the palette used? Are there ways to soften it and add character? And I know lighting's not there, I know landscaping's not there, but I'm having a hard time seeing how this is going to work in the neighborhood. And again, I am supportive if you want to go contemporary direction, supportive you're showing context for two-story, but the way that they're relating together, it's also hard to tell how white the color is going to be. But yeah, I'm really struggling to figure out how it would make the findings for mass, bulk, and scale and how it would fit in with the neighborhood. I also would want to see an arborist report. It is a specimen jacaranda in the front, and it looks, just from street view, maybe things have changed to be like a structurally beautiful tree. They're also deciduous, so I don't know what the comments were about the tree, but especially if you're proposing a house that's kind of pushing our recommended height and such a departure for architecture, I think considering trees and something to soften the front, I would really recommend. There's also a lot of hardscape through the yard. So yeah, I'm kind of running through I mean, I would, given that it's pushing a 98% required FAR, and again, this is not including an ADU, I would be a little hesitant to waive some of the items that are typically required. And yeah, I don't know if I have other comments beyond that, but yeah, again, it would be helpful to have clarity from staff on, you know, any of the historic requirements for this.
Thank you. Board Member Roth, comments?
Okay, so I really appreciate the how you've broken up the architecture, and I appreciate that you like took inspiration from the home next door and all the, you know, the recessing the windows and the wood trellis and all of that. I think it's all tasteful with the courtyards too. Regarding the comments, I think that Okay, I'm actually fine with the footprint of the home. Regarding the height, I think that you could possibly just solve the height. Just, I don't know if you want to do this, but you could step it down with the grade and bring the building down. That's just a thought. And then another thing I wanted to ask you, if you want to consider, I think in the neighborhood guidelines, we try to put the garage door so it's not facing the street. And I know that's, pretty much all the homes on that street, the garage is facing the street. But maybe if you want to look into putting the garage door on the side to kind of break up the garage door, just as an idea, so it's not so dominant. And another thing I wanted to mention on the west elevation, I was looking at the geometry or the balance of the front door, and I think there's an overhang. I kind of feel like the garage, or sorry, the front door, I feel like there should be like more space. I guess if,
Want me to-
yeah, you could bring it up. It's kind of hard to explain if you pull up one of the elevations of the front. But I think it's just the balance of like the second story overhang with the front door and like the sizes of the windows. It's just me. I just was wondering if you could study that some more. And yeah, that's about it. I think it's a very tasteful and beautiful project. So.
Okay, Board Member Graffiti has one more.
Sorry, I
comment
just had
about
one
the
more
deck.
comment. I'd like to get clarity on how far the deck is from the property line. Again, given that our guideline is it should be 15 feet away from the property line if it's a certain distance. So helpful to understand how far it is from the neighboring property line, and then also maybe as you're doing some of these studies of neighboring residences, understanding what's on the other side of the property line. And that's just a request for the next meeting.
Okay, I share similar thoughts with the rest of the board members, and I don't have an issue with the footprint and at all. I think that it's completely appropriate. For me, because what's going through my head are the findings that we have to make with compatibility, and Board Member Graffiti touched on this as well, and it's a combination of a very contemporary home with the overall height and scale and massing being just straight up two-story walls everywhere. There's no, and I understand that that is your design party, and it's a very, you can say it's Santa Barbara, as much as you want, and it does have plaster walls, and the walls are, they're double thick walls, but other than that, there's really nothing Santa Barbara about it, and it looks very urban. It looks very much like what we would see in a much more downtown, higher scale context where there's lots of other two-story, larger homes all around it. And then in that way, I think in that context, I think it would be very appropriate. But when we're talking about putting this house in this neighborhood on top of that, next to a potential historic structure, I think you have an extra added responsibility to be sensitive to the neighborhood. Also because you're going to be probably the first house in the neighborhood that is a two-story stacked wall that's very contemporary. And I think that what's exacerbating the design the most is that you've got an 11-foot ceiling height in a bedroom, which is higher than the ceiling in this room.
Wait.
So think about that in context. You've got a bedroom in a rural neighborhood with the ceiling height that's taller than this room ceiling. So that's not helping the neighborhood compatibility findings that we have to make. And on top of that, I think the lower level at 9 feet isn't necessarily inappropriate. So when you've kind of established this design party that's so minimalist and contemporary, there's going to be a responsibility to really be sensitive to that amount of mass. And the detailing is also, it puts an added responsibility on you for high quality detailing, and which is also a compatibility finding for the supplemental materials and supplemental application requirements for being over the 85% too. So I don't think the board is inclined to waive those requirements either. I think there's some privacy issues with the deck being a lot closer than 15 feet. So we're going to be looking for how you're mitigating that, because the neighbors next door might not always, and the two neighbors might not always live in these two houses. They probably won't. And there'll be other people that live in these homes that we have to make the privacy compatibility findings, on regardless of whether or not the neighbors get along with one another right now. We'll need landscaping, especially because landscaping is going to help us make the finding of compatibility, streetscape compatibility. It looks like you've got some homework with staff on the historic nature of the adjacent property. And the biggest thing for me is that the design that you've chosen is not unsupportable from a concept, but you are likely the first one in the neighborhood that is proposing this style. And with that comes the responsibility for not turning your back on the height compatibility and the sensitivity to other neighbors with regards to plate heights. And so,
Can I ask your idea on something? Quickly?
Yes.
Since everyone else. If we introduced partial, a roof style similar to the neighboring home, would that lend more compatibility in your eyes?
not if you added it to the mass that you already have.
No, of course, you would have to.
Yeah. If you want to
Understood.
change the design and you want to go to more of a traditional architecture, that's
Just help me
changing the
understand what you're
style.
saying
The-
about-
It's the combination of the style that you've chosen and the responsibility that you now have with that massing that you've chosen. And just the way it appears. It's, I'm not seeing it being compatible right now, is what I'm saying, and I'm seeing that a large reduction in the upper level plate height and more detailing, and that would be a start. I still don't know if I could support it, but we're not here to tell you what style to choose.
No, I'm just trying to avoid 4 or 5 of these,
Yeah,
maxing out our
so,
meetings, because that's, no one wants that.
We're going to do the best we can to kind of help you, but I think you get the idea of where we're headed toward this. I mean, 11-foot plate height, I don't know if we've ever seen an 11-foot plate height on this. I
Well, we
mean,
could easily make it a 10-foot plate height.
yeah,
mean,
well, I
that's
don't
not a
think
problem.
we rarely see even a 10-foot ceiling height in a bedroom, even in a 15,000 square foot lot on a big house. Like it's, and especially in this neighborhood, I'm hearing from the board that that's probably one of the biggest issues with the board is the plate height, amongst some other things. So I'm going to attempt to, maybe I should.
Thank you for that direction, though, actually.
Yeah, good. I mean, I want to help, but I'm seeing you've got some challenges here with
We
this.
love challenges.
And does somebody want to, Shinar, do you want to take a stab at a
Yeah,
at a motion?
you can borrow your notes to me. Okay.
Just start. No?
Okay. I'll move to continue the project indefinitely to the full board with the following comments, that the applicant to have a street silhouette of the, do we agree on like 4 or 5 neighbors on the side, each side?
Question for the motion maker, and maybe this is also, I don't, because there are requirements for an FAR over 85%, I don't know, it might be helpful for us to know exactly what those are, because that might be included. I don't remember exactly, but just.
Okay, well, let's let the maker.
Yeah,
of the
I'll
motion-
just, and we can like have it under discussion. So I think a street silhouette will be, I don't know if you guys are agree.
Is that one of the findings? Is that one of the supplemental?
Yes, it is,
Okay,
the
then-
street silhouette.
Then I think what Board Member Graffitti is saying is that you could start the motion with the proposed FAR, the supplemental.
Yes. So as part of the requirement for the supplemental documents for the FAR above 85%, the board would like to see a street silhouette of the house, including 4 to 5 neighbors on each side. And my second motion will be about site sections. The applicant to provide site sections east, west, and if they think that it will be helpful for the project north, south, to understand the relationship of the mass to the neighboring homes. The other thing, the applicant to provide a conceptual landscape plan, and also show the landscape under elevations to soften the elevation and show what's the end result of the project at the concept level. The applicant to study lowering the plate heights, specifically the second level plate height, to the minimum that they can with the keeping their design and the client's preference, or study other ways to lower the height of the mass in general.
The historic.
Oh, okay. The applicant to work with the city staff to confirm that the neighboring house, I believe on the west side, is designated as a historic landmark, and what are the requirements for them proposing a new construction, new 2-story construction.
I think it's the north side, actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
the
just
north.
to make sure you
The
have-
address is 3034 neighbor. And the applicant to clarify the distance of the second-story deck to the next-door property, and show exhibits and studies of how they are responding to that, because it's larger than the deck size that it's in our guidelines, and less than 15 feet to the neighbor. So how they're proposing that, and like what landscaping they're proposing, and what are the neighbors' house, like the programs on the neighbor side on that part of the site.
Do we want to ask for any examples of contemporary homes in the neighborhood?
Yes, the applicant to provide an exhibit showing the contemporary and flat roof examples in the neighborhood.
I'll second the motion, and I have a couple of comments that, if acceptable to the maker and the seconder, we could add. One is that the very first comment you made, it should include that you mentioned one of the supplemental items, but I think that the statement should read that the applicant is to provide the supplemental material required for projects over 85% FAR, and all of them, like, you know.
So one of them, I believe, is
One
the
of
story
them-
polls. So do we want to include that?
Not yet.
Not
No,
yet?
not yet.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the
So the other ones, yeah.
Which are, and you already did the 20 closest homes, but
Yeah, street silhouette, yes.
street silhouette. and-
All the supplemental documents required for FAR more than 85%.
So that's photo
Except
sims as well?
I think this photo, street silhouette has the, like you can, like it's a photo sim.
Well, it's different.
But not the story polls yet,
Not the story polls, excluding story polls.
excluding story polls.
Okay, so it sounds like the board is requiring street silhouette elevations, panoramic photo simulations, and the 20 closest home survey, but not story polls at this time.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then the other issue might be to return with additional detailing that, that strengthens the design concept as presented.
Yes. Can we add that, please?
Who seconded?
And I
Me.
think like.
I seconded.
Can I add some, I want to ask Board Member Graffiti about about the tree in the
Yeah.
front. What was, like, to have an arborist report about the existing jacaranda and
Yeah,
the
if it's
status of
proposed to be
that?
removed.
Yes, is it proposed to be removed? And we can add that to the comment, that the motion about the landscape plan, or it can be a separate
Are you
one.
asking them to provide an arborist report on the health of a jacaranda tree? I mean, a jacaranda is not a specimen tree, not to belabor this,
Well,
but
the size of it is a specimen tree. It's not a native tree, but the size of it is a specimen. It's also in the front yard, so I don't know if street tree or anyone else is involved, but because of the size of it, it's a specimen, so it's still in our findings.
it's definitely needs a permit to be removed, but they know that already.
Yeah.
And so they would probably, okay.
So they
Yeah,
need to
fine.
provide us with a tree mitigation plan, I guess, or something. Yeah.
Maybe
We can you read the motion about providing the conceptual landscape plan, and we can incorporate that into that one?
I think the ordinance spells it out pretty clearly what to do. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
so I can read back that comment regarding the landscape plan. So all I had was the applicants to provide a conceptual landscape plan and show the landscaping on the elevations.
Yeah, and we can add that to the applicant to provide a mitigation plan or status of the existing jacaranda cord and confirm that is it to be removed. So, yeah.
Katie, are you getting at wanting to, just have a big tree there regardless?
Well, we have to make a finding that no specimen trees
Okay.
are, like, there has to be appropriate mitigation for specimen trees. So if the response is, there was another response from another committee that has purview, whatever, but we have to make that finding. And if we're removing a specimen tree and not proposing anything, we have to have a rationale for why that is. So that's what I'm trying to get ahead of the one day making those findings.
I understand and I agree, and I think that the way we've worded the comment, if you could read it back to make sure that Board Member
Yes.
Graffiti and everybody's okay with how you've written it.
Yes, of course. So I have the applicants to provide a conceptual landscape plan and show the landscaping on the elevations. And the applicant should provide a mitigation plan for the jacaranda tree and confirm whether it is to be removed.
Does
that okay?
sound correct?
Okay, I'm okay with that too. Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mosley?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
And Board Member Rolfe?
Yes.
And motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes the tonight's Single Family Design Board agenda, and have a good night, everyone.